So we'll be tackling these three topics since we are doing it together. So we'll start with the working capital management. Working capital management. So under the working capital management, it's basically we have the three key working capital management that we'll be talking about. The three key working capital management, which is the receivables, the payables, payables, your cash management, right? So the receivable, the payables, and the cash management. So these are the key working capital management that we'll be talking about. All right. So before that, we would be looking at the length of working capital management. The length of what working capital management. So you can be asked to compute the length of the working capital management or the operating cycle. The length of the working capital management or the operating cycle. So we have the cash operating cycle. Cash operating cycle. So what is the formula for the cash operating cycle? That is the receivables days, receivable days, and the what plus the inventory days minus the what payables what days. The receivable days, inventory days, and then the payables days. So these two, receivable days and then the inventory days, are known as the operating cycle. If they ask you compute the operating cycle, it is just these two operating cycle. It is just the receivable days and then inventory days. That is your operating, what you are operating on. But then if they ask you to compute the cash operating cycle, that includes that is basically receivable days plus inventory days less payables days, right? Okay, so let us look at the formulas and the days of them, each of them. So we take the receivable days, days. Under the receivable days, what is the formula for receivable days? The receivable days, so that one is the receivable days. The receivable days is equal to the average receivables. All over the credit sales. All over credit sales times 365 days. That is the formula for receivable days. That is the formula for receivable days. Average receivables over credit sales times 360. And we move to the inventory days. With the inventory days, we have raw materials, right? The inventory has raw materials. Your inventory can be your raw materials. What is the formula for the raw materials? So the raw materials is average raw materials. Average raw materials over the raw materials purchased. raw materials purchased times 365 days. Raw materials purchased times 365 days. Your inventory can also be work in progress, which is semi-finished goods. Semi-finished goods, right? So the semi-finished goods or materials is also the average work in progress all over what? The cost of production. The cost of what? Production times what? 365 days. Times 365 days. Then we have the finished goods. The finished goods is finished inventory, right? So that's the finished inventory. That is what so that's the normal one that we know, average finished goods of inventory, or some would say average inventory. So let me see, average finished goods of inventory all over what? Cost of sales times 365 days, right? So all these are under the inventory. Then we come to the payable days, right? The payable days. The payable days is what? Average payables, average payable all over what? The credit purchases, or your cost of what? Sales, times 365 days. So these are the formulas that you need to know under cash operating cycle. Under your cash operating cycle, cash operating what? Cycle. Okay. So now, with this knowledge, we can take an example. This formulas, you can take an example. Okay, so let's go to the question. So this is working capital cycle. So can someone read for me? Someone should read for us.
I'm reading.
Okay.
The table below gives information extracted from the annual financial statement of Management PLC for the past year. Management PLC extracts from annual accounts, inventories, raw material, $108,000, work in progress, 75,600, finished goods, 86,400, purchase of raw material, 518,400, cost of production, 675,000, cost of goods sold, 756,000, sales, 864,000, receivables, 172,800, payables, 86,400. Calculate the length of the working capital cycle, assuming 365 days in a year.
Okay, so calculate what? The length of working capital cycle, assuming what? 365 days in a year. Some question will say 360, so pay attention to that. But if the question is silent, you assume that it what? 365, of course. Yeah. So Okay, so now is the working capital management. So working capital cycle. So what is the formula for the working capital cycle? So the working capital cycle, or here we can see the cash operating cycle. Cash operating cycle is the days, receivable days plus the payable plus the inventory, sorry, plus the inventory days minus the payables, minus the payable days, minus the payable what days. All right. So now, what is the receivable days? The receivable days is equal to what? Receivables, average receivables over what? Credit sales, over credit sales times what? 365. So can we locate what is the average receivables from the question? What is the average receivables from the question? How much is the average receivables? Where is our receivables? So the average receivables is 172,800. Average means you are adding two things. Here you only have one information. So we pick this as an average. So that is 172,800. So that is given us to 800 all over the credit sales. Credit sales is also sales, right? They've not given us credit sales. So it's actually our sales that we are seeing here. This is a simple question. So that is, how much was it? That is 864,000. 864,000. So 864,000 times 365. And that is giving us how much? How many days?
$73. 730 days.
Sorry, 700 and what?
30 days.
Hey, 330 days.
73 days.
Receivables,
Hey.
750.
Sorry. 172,800. 172,800.
73 days.
Ah. 864. Okay.
Please, I'm for the answer.
Yeah, it's 73, please.
So that is 73 days.
Days, yeah.
73 days. Okay, then we also find for our inventory days, right? We also find for our inventory days. So the inventory days, what is the formula? Inventory days, we know we have the raw materials, which is the what? Average raw materials, which is the average raw materials over the what? Raw materials purchased, right? raw materials purchase times 365 days. So what is our average material? Raw material. Inventories, raw materials is what? 108. 108,000. 108,000. Inventory, 108,000. All of our raw materials purchase. Raw materials purchase. Where can we locate that? Raw materials purchase. Purchases of raw materials. 518,400. Purchases of raw materials 518,400. So 518,400. 518,400. Times what? 300. That is giving us 76 days. That is just for the raw materials. And then we have what? Work in progress. Work in progress. Work in progress. So the work in progress is average work in progress. Average what? Work in progress. Average work in progress. All over what? The cost of production times 365 days. So what is the average work in progress? The average work in progress, let's locate that. Work in progress. So work in progress is 75,600. 75,600. 75,600. All over what is the cost of production? Cost of production. The cost of production is 675,000. 675,000. 675,000. 675,000 times 365, and that should give us how many days?
41 days.
41 days. 41 days. So that is just for the inventory. And we move on to the finished goods of inventory. Finished goods of inventory. That is the average what? Average finished goods all over the cost of sales. That is finished goods or cost of sales. This is production. That is why I'm saying cost of production. Just know the difference. Times 365 days. So what do you have? That is giving us how much? No, okay, let's locate the figures. Sorry. So let's locate the figures. What is the average finished goods of inventory? Inventory. Where is our inventory finished goods? And the inventory finished goods 86,400, right? 86,400. So 86,400. Sorry, is it 86? 86,400 all over cost of sales. What is our cost of sales?
Cost of goods sold.
Cost of goods sold is the same as cost of sales, right? Cost of goods sold is the same as cost of sales. So that is 756,000. 756,000. So 756,000 times 365 days. So how much are we getting?
42 days.
42 days. 42 days. So total for the inventory will be how much? Total for the inventory will be how much? Inventory days will be how much? Will be 42 days plus 41 plus 76. 76 plus 41 plus 42. 159. That is giving us 159. So 42 plus 41 plus 76 is giving us 159 days. 159 what? Days. Okay. So then we go to the payables. So now what will be our payables formula? The payables days is equal to average payables. Average payable. With this question, there's average means you are adding two things and you divide by the number, right? The number of times. So average is what? Is if two things, you add the two, divide by two. But if it's three things, you add the three, divide by three. So that is it. Average doesn't mean necessarily mean two things. It can be three. But here it is just one. That's why you are picking the figures as it is. So even though the formula is average payables, we only have one figure for the payables. All of our credit and purchases or the cost of sales, or the cost of sales. So let's look at times what? 365 days. So what is the average payables? Payables 86,400, right? 86,400. So 86,400 all over the credit purchases. All over what? The credit purchases. Where can we locate that? Where can we locate that? Payables. Okay. So purchases of raw materials. 518,400. 518,400. 518,400 times 365 days. So how many days are we getting?
61.
How many days are we getting?
61. It's 60.833. So 61.
So that's 61 days, right? 61
Yes.
days. So 61 days. So then what is our working capital cycle or the cash operating cycle? Working capital cycle or the cash operating cycle? That is, the first one we had the receivables. What did we get? Receivable days have 73 plus
73.
Plus 159, which is for the inventory, minus payables.
Yeah.
So that is 73 plus 159 minus 61 days for payables. And that is giving us how much?
178. Yeah.
So that is giving us 171 days. 171 what? Days. So this is the working capital what? Cycle. the working capital cycle. The working capital cycle. Any question?
Mr. Phillips. Hello.
All right. So there is no question. And then we proceed.
Hello.
Proceed.
Hello.
Let's look at
Mr. Phillips. Hello. Hey.
All right. Can you still see my screen?
No.
Can you see my screen now? Hello, can you see my screen?
No, please.
You can't see my screen, really. See it now? Hello, can you see it now? Hello?
Hello.
Hello, please, can you see my screen?
Yes, please. It's in now.
Okay. So, now that we are done with the operating working capital cycle, we can proceed with inventory management. We can proceed with what? Inventory management. So now I want to take each of them one by one. I want to take each of them one by one. So let's take the inventory management. Inventory management. Here's the inventory management. In fact, when I started, I said what receivable, payables, cash, think inventory here in an inventory. So an inventory management.
Hello.
So receivable, payables, cash, and inventory management. All right. So now
Mr.
let's take the inventory management.
To ask you a question.
Inventory management. So now you know how to compute your.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah, hello.
Please, can you hear me?
Hello, I'm listening.
Please, with a
Hello,
payable
I'm
days.
listening. Mm-hmm.
Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please, with the payable days, the formula you wrote, average payables over over the purchases or cost of sales. So I'm asking that what of the cost of sales? Don't we use the cost of goods sold?
Yeah, so if the credit purchases is not there, then you
Oh, okay. Thank you.
choose the cost of sales. Did you get me? Okay. Hello, did you get me? Hello? Did you hear me?
Yes, please, I got it. Thank you.
Okay. So let's continue. We use credit purchases, right? The credit purchases. If you don't get the credit purchases, then you can rely on the if there is any cost of sales, right? All right. So now, as I was saying, so now inventory management, inventory management. So with the inventory management has to do with we investing in our inventory, right? Investing in the inventory. So believe we know that there are costs associated with the investment in the inventory, right? Costs that are associated in inventory, right? So sometimes we may have a lot of inventory. We may have high inventory, and then we may have what low inventory, right? We may have high inventory and then low inventory. Some people have decided that they may not keep a lot of inventory in their shops, in their warehouses. Whilst others have also decided that they would invest a lot of what in inventory. So you see that when you go to some shops, they have a lot of inventory. When you go to some shops, they don't have a lot of inventory. So we'll be looking at the cost that is associated with high inventory level. What are some of the costs that you incur when you're having a lot of inventory? The cost of high inventory level. So one, if you are having a lot of inventory, what do you think are some of the costs? So one is foregone interest. Foregone interest from keeping what capital in inventory. Foregone interest from keeping capital in inventory. So do you know that when you have inventory, a lot of inventory in your shop, it means that your capital is in the inventory. You have invested your money in the inventory. The money that you can use in other things is that you have used it to purchase inventory. So because of that, you are not getting some interest because you could have invested the money in another asset which could have generated an interest for you. But you have kept the money, you have put the money in inventory, and the inventory is lying down. So that's why some people can tell you that, oh, look at the goods that is lying down, it's my money, my investment. Look at them, they are not buying it, and it's lying down. So they are your investment. So that is so you are not getting interest on it. So you are foregoing interest from keeping capital in inventory because all your inventory, you're having a lot of what inventory. Because of that, you are not getting what an interest. So that is one of the costs. If you are not getting an interest, it is a cost. You could have gotten an interest if you invested in a different asset. So that is one of the costs associated with what having high inventory level. Then holding cost, of course. You would incur holding costs. Holding costs such as the storage cost. Storage what? Cost. Yes. Insurance cost. Because you are keeping the goods in the warehouse. So storage cost. Insurance cost. You have to insure your goods against theft, against fire. Then stores was administration expense, right? You will incur administration what expense on the what on the goods. There is risk and then what damage. That's it. So these are the what two keywords cost associated with having high inventory. Also, there are costs associated with what having low inventory. Cost of low what inventory. Cost of low what inventory level. Cost of low inventory level. What are some of the costs associated with what having low inventory? Stock out cost. Stock out what cost? You now you're having low inventory. The result of that, maybe when customers come to purchase from you, want to buy your goods from you, be like, oh, this year I'm goods now. I just went out of stock. So you can see that as a result of that, you are incurring costs. You are losing some contribution, right? So loss in contribution. Loss in contribution. Right? You are losing some contribution. You could have earned some revenue because you were not keeping a lot of inventory. You are losing some contribution. What else here? And that is a cost to you. That is what a cost was to you. And then some emergency orders. When emergency order comes, you see that you cannot be able to what to satisfy it. So that is as a result of having low inventory. Then high reorder cost. High reorder what? Reorder cost. High reorder cost. Because you are having low inventory, and all the time you are ordering inventory, you are ordering stock. Because always you try to keep inventory low. So because of that, you are always ordering. If someone comes, oh, I want 10,000. You also have just 5,000 in your shop. So always you are ordering. Yes, please, supplier, can you supply me with an additional 5,000? Someone is here to get 10,000 units. So you see, because of that, you'll be having high reorder cost, and then loss in quantity discount. So lost quantity what discount. Lost quantity what discount. See, if you are ordering pieces, because of that, you'll be losing some discount. But if you are buying it in bulk, you'll be having some what discount. You get some discount. So that is what as a result of what you having a low level of what inventory. Low level what inventory. All right. So now let us talk about economic order quantity. Economic what? Order quantity. So what is the economic order quantity? Economic order quantity, or the EOQ, right? So if you as a business, so now we want to know what is the best or what is the optimum number of what inventory that we need to keep as a business. Since we know that when you're having high inventory, high levels of inventory, it comes at a cost. When you're having low levels of inventory, that one also comes at a cost. So it's like the two of them are not good, right? In a way, right? So what is the optimum? What is the best level of inventory that we need to keep in our business to ensure that we minimize cost? Right? We minimize cost. So the EOQ is basically a mathematical model that is used to calculate the quantity of inventory to order from a supplier. Right? Each time an order is made. What I say? So the aim is to know the order of quantity that minimizes the total annual inventory cost. So the optimum level of inventory what to minimize what? Total annual inventory cost. So that is it. So the EOQ gives us what the optimum level of inventory that we need to have get to minimize cost. So what is the formula for the EOQ? EOQ has a formula. EOQ. You can see that we will be using the EOQ because that gives us the best. That's the optimum. So that is very good. So what is the EOQ? EOQ. So here can be Q. EOQ is basically equal to what? Q. The same as represented by Q. So what is Q? Q is equal to what? The square root of what? 2 times the annual demand times what? The ordering cost per unit all over what? The holding cost per unit. Holding cost per unit or carrying cost. Holding cost is also sometimes known as what? Or carrying what? Cost. Holding cost or carrying cost. Right. So now, the CO is what? The ordering cost. Ordering cost per unit. So that is the ordering cost per unit. Or let me say fixed cost per order. When you order. And then the CH is what? Is the cost of what? Holding one. Cost of hold one inventory. Cost of holding one inventory. And the D is the demand, annual demand. D is annual demand. Right? So then what is our total cost? Total cost of inventory. Total cost of inventory, right? Total cost of the inventory should have been what? Should be the price of the inventory, plus the what? Cost of ordering. Total cost of what? Ordering. Total cost of what? Ordering. Plus the holding what? Holding cost. Total inventory. What is the cost of what? Total inventory cost. Total inventory cost is equal to price of the inventory plus the ordering cost plus the cost of ordering plus the what? Holding cost, right? So now we would have used this if there is what? There is discount. If there is what? A discount, right? If there is a discount, we would have used this to make the what? Analysis, to know the total inventory. But if the purchase price is constant, there is no discount, and I would say that the total inventory cost is equal to the cost of ordering plus the holding cost. If there is no discount on the purchase price, then I would say that the total inventory is the cost of ordering plus what? Holding cost, right? But if there is no discount, I would say that the total inventory cost is the cost of ordering plus what? Holding cost. But if there is a discount, that is where I'll feature in the price, right, of the inventory, where the discount would take effect on that. So that's what I want you to know. So basically, let me say the total inventory cost. The total inventory cost is this without a discount. So let me indicate it so that without what? Without a discount. If there is a discount, that's why you feature in the price so that the discount would take effect. If there is a discount, you feature in the price so that the discount will take effect. But if there is no discount, why would you be in the purchase price? It doesn't. It's not relevant in our decision, right? The purchase price is fixed. The purchase price is constant. So if you are doing analysis for different levels of inventory, it is not prudent to bring the purchase price of the inventory. The purchase price of the inventory is fixed throughout the analysis. It is only when discount comes in that is where featuring. So if there is no discount, that's why the total inventory cost is cost of ordering plus cost of holding. Then what is the cost of ordering? What is the cost of ordering? Cost of ordering, the total cost of ordering, the total cost of ordering is what? Annual demand all over what? The EOQ or the Q times cost per order. Cost per order. That is the ordering cost. You want to know the total. If you want to know the total, is it not the annual demand over the EOQ times per unit to get the total? Multiply the number of units, number of orders times cost of one order. So this gives us the number of what? Orders. Number of orders. If every year you order 100,000, and with the 100,000, it comes at maybe 100 units. 100 units. If you want to know the number of times you ordered, once you divide the 100,000 by the 100 units, you get the number of times that you ordered. So the number of times that you ordered, each time the cost per unit. If you order beer, what is the cost? That gives you the ordering cost, right? That gives you the ordering cost. It's simple like that. So that is the cost of ordering. That is the cost of ordering. What then is the holding cost? Divided by 2 times the holding cost per unit. Holding cost per unit. Right? That is the holding cost. The quantity divided by 2 times what? Holding cost per unit. So, with that being said, we can now get to our question. Can now get to our question. Let's get to our question. Let's solve this question first before we come to. I believe you are with me here. Okay. So let's take this question. Let's take this question. The question 2, right? Question 2. So reader, please read for us.
Janice has demand for 40,000 desks, and the purchase price of each desk is $25. There are ordering cost of $20 for each order placed. Inventory holding costs amount to 10% per Inventory holding costs amount to 10%
Yeah.
DA of inventory value. Calculate the inventory per annum. Okay. Calculate the inventory cost per annum for the following order quantities and find the economic order quantity. A 500 units, B 750 units, C 1000 units, D 1250 units.
All right. So with this, let's try to right. So okay. So let's try to identify the elements. So what is the annual demand? What is the annual demand here? That had a demand of 40,000 decks per annum. So that is the 40,000. Then we have the purchase price. And the purchase price of each deck is 25 cedis. So how much is the purchase price? Purchase price. Purchase price is what? 25. Is it dollars? Yeah. $25. Then we have the ordering cost per unit. Then there are ordering costs of 20 cedis for each order placed. So that is the ordering cost. Ordering cost per unit. And that is how much? $20. Then we have the holding cost. The holding cost, inventory holding cost, amount to 10% PA of the what inventory value. PA, I don't why PA. So 10% PA of what inventory value. So the key word is what inventory what value. 10% of the inventory value, right? So now, how much is the inventory? The inventory value is what? The best purchase price. The inventory value of is what? The purchase price. So the holding cost per unit, the holding cost per unit is basically what? 10% of the purchase price. So what is the purchase price? $25. So that is what they are telling us, right? That is what they are telling us. All right. So this is the whole summary of the question. And then calculate the inventory cost per annum for the following order quantities and the economic order quantity, EOQ. So you know the EOQ formula, right? So we calculate the inventory cost per annum for the following order quantities. If you calculate for the order quantity, that is what you have been given. Then when you are done, we find EOQ, right? EOQ. Now let's go to our working board. Okay. So now let me list the items. So annual demand was for, is it 400,000 or 40,000?
It's 40,000.
It's how much? 40,000. Okay, yeah, 40,000. So 40,000. Yeah, 40,000. Then the purchase price is $25. Ordering cost per unit is how much? $20. And then holding cost per unit is how much? 10% of what? Inventory value.
$25.
The purchase price of the inventory, which is $25. Right? So now they have given us different quantities, other quantities, and they want to know which of them gives us the least cost, right? Which of them gives us what? The least cost. So either they order 500 units, or they order 750 units, or they order 1,000 units, or they order 1,250 units. So they want to know which of them gives us the least cost. Annual demand is what? 40,000. They want to know whether we should order 500 units, first batch, second batch, 500 units, 500 units, 500 to sum up to the 40,000 annually, right? They also want to know whether we should order 750 units, 750 units in the first batch, 750 units second batch, 750, which will sum up to what? 40,000 for the annual. 1,000 units every time, 1,000, which will sum up to the annual 40,000. 1,250 units, 1,250 units, which will sum up to the what? 40,000. So when we do this, we want to know which of these get the least cost, because we know that what is the use of the EOQ? The EOQ gives us the minimum optimum level that would give us the what? Least cost. Economic, right? So the economic order quantity which of them gives us the least cost. So that's what we are coming to do. Which of them will give us the least cost? The one that will give us the least cost is the one that is the best. But it might be the best among the four of them, but then